Hello, everyone, and welcome to Late Night Siege. It's the first episode for this new show on Rainbow Six ANZ. So thanks for tuning in. Of course, the beautiful human to my side is none other than Devmarta.
Yeah, I'm really keen to get this project off the ground. We've been working on it behind the scenes for a little while, and it should be a really fun way to chill out on Friday nights. Really, we've been kind of in a bit of a stress head mode, trying to get everything working, and I'm keen to just kind of chill out and actually get stuck into it with some games.
Yeah, absolutely. And seeing as you brought up the chillness of it, let's talk about what the show is all about. We are just wanting to bring a bit of a chill vibe to Siege and the Siege show environment. So we want to bring a broad spotlight to the Siege community and give you tips on operators, maps, that kind of thing, as well as hang out with some guests and just chat and vibe out.
Yeah, so we're going to be here every Friday at 8 p.m. AEST, and I'm really keen for it. You mentioned guests. This week we have Vincere from Sinister, or Vinny. How are you going, man?
I'm good, man. How are you? How are you guys?
Yeah, chill.
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
It's good.
I guess it's a good chance right now for you to talk a little bit about yourself. I know that we haven't really. We've obviously got the Six Masters going on, so a lot of people who are really into esports might know who you are, but maybe just here's an opportunity to introduce yourself to everyone who's watching, whether they're familiar with you or not.
Yeah, so my name is Vincent. I go by the in-game name Vincere, and I'm currently playing for Sinister R6. And I've been playing competitively for around 2.5 years, and playing Siege for around 3.5, maybe. So yeah.
Long time, dude. I mean, speaking of long time, Dev, I mean, tell us about yourself. I mean, some people probably know you as a caster. They've seen you at Six Invitational, that kind of thing. But maybe some people want to hear about your background.
I cast the Six Masters and various other esports hunts we've got going on. I've done a bit of work on the analyst desk for like pre-shows and post-shows at other events as well, like the Six Invitational. Been doing a bit of content like this on the side as well, and doing some stuff with Ubisoft too. And that's basically what I've been doing. And what about you, Raven?
I mean, I've been playing the game since beta, basically on PlayStation. People might know me as a past player in ANZ, in Pro League, and then coach, and now caster. So cumulatively, it's like probably 4 years of PC Siege experience. And I also do freelance coaching, which some people probably don't realize. That's via Fiverr, but whoever messages me and wants some help, I'm happy to help them out. So I'm really excited to use this show as well to help people learn the game better and have a more enjoyable experience and just have a bit more depth of knowledge in R6.
Yeah, cool. Because that's really what we're going to be talking about tonight, and on the show in general is a chance to talk about operators and maps. And tonight, Vinny, you wanted to go through IQ and Clubhouse, which we're going to get to a bit later on in the show. But I think the idea here is not just to be for the diehard esports fans, but for anyone who's interested in Siege, whether you're just a casual player or whether you're grinding for gold or plat or diamond champion, whatever rank it is at. I mean, we've got, I think, a pretty good opportunity to have a pro player teaching you that kind of stuff. So I'm keen for it. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about Vinny, since we've got you here? Raven, what are the kinds of things that we want to get kicked off with? Maybe Vinny, you could tell us a little bit about kind of your origin story. You mentioned kind of when you got into Siege, but what was your path to actually becoming who you are now in the Siege community as a pro player?
Yeah, so I think my origin story kind of follows the trend of either people coming from console or people coming from Counter-Strike, and I was a Counter-Strike child. And it wasn't until I moved from regional Victoria, where I'm originally from, up to Melbourne, and when I first started making friends, a lot of them went to Siege. And people probably know in the community as Shabs was one of my first friends that I met at my new school. And he would always badger me to play Siege, and I was still very much invested in CS, but eventually I kind of caught on to the R6 trend, and never really looked back from there. I never really thought about playing competitively when I first started. But after a bit of time, I ended up finding my way onto a Nixian as a sub. I never really got much game time there, so I was still under 18 at the time, so It was very much just like scrims and practice. But eventually I had a short stint with Extricity, where I learned almost all the fundamental basics about competitive Siege. And then ended up back on Onyxian, which then became Oddity. Played 2 seasons with them, had really good success with them. Coached by Raven, of course.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. What do you guys? I mean, both of you. I'm interested to hear kind of, since you guys work so closely together, what's it like kind of coming now and working on this? And I guess one thing I want to know is, what did you guys think of each other back when you kind of started?
Well, yeah, I enjoyed working with Vinny, and I always felt like we got along pretty well. And doing stuff like this together is really cool because Vinny and I are pretty good friends, and we don't really get a chance to hang out that much because obviously being a pro player, the schedule is pretty hectic. And then, of course, I've got my own stuff as well. So that's probably the downside to when you kind of become not teammates, or when people move around with different teams. It's really hard to stay in touch and hang out because it really is a demanding schedule. So being able to have Vinny on here is really cool because we get to hang out for a bit, which we haven't done for a while.
Yeah, it's been way too long. Where was I up to? Right, Oddity, and then now on Team Sinister, and that's the whole origin story.
So I guess, what's your role? What do you kind of do for the team? Are you more of the strat guy? You're the support guy? You're the fragger? What's it like in your day to day?
Very much the fragger in terms of roles in attack. More of a flex kind of fragger, and on defense, more of an info kind of anchor role. During the week, I mean, the whole team is very much about strategy and coming together and voting and doing strat sessions together. So it never really falls on one person, but it's always fun to get involved with the strategy. Fisher Guy's got the biggest brain, so it's good to get his thought process, and I've learned a lot from the team, definitely.
I know Fisher was playing a lot of Montaigne this week. You guys have been experimenting with that?
So, yeah, not liking strats, but it's been very much about the Ying kind of meta at the moment, with the way that she was, and we knew teams were going to ban Ying if they weren't going to bring it. We had a feeling Wildcard would ban Ying in our previous match, and we thought we could maybe brute force a few of the attacks with Montaigne, especially ones on Theme Park where the attacks aren't completely fleshed out at the moment. And Monty's just an overall really strong operator for getting info, so it wasn't practiced a whole lot, but we thought we could exploit the fact that Theme Park defenses wouldn't be as strong as what some of the other maps were, so that was why we decided to bring him.
And before coming into Six Masters, you guys were undefeated for the previous split of the Pro League. You'd come off, was it 3 or 4 wins in a row? So I think a lot of people were really optimistic about your chances. You did have that kind of roster change thing with Dirk coming in as well.
Yep.
And me and Raven both predicted you to end up winning one map, drawing the series, if you will, against Wildcard. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case for you. But I don't know, I think it's been a pretty strong road for you guys over the last few seasons, kind of building up and getting much higher in the standings for where you are sitting within ANZ.
Yeah, so coming into the wildcard game, we were very confident, and we were very disappointed at the end of the game that we didn't come away with at least a point. We knew that we could take it to wildcard. It was more just us just not being on our game, and they were really strong. So yeah, not taking anything away from how they played.
Yeah, just to bring it back a little bit as well, I guess, for viewers that aren't as up with the Pro League and the pro side of Siege, maybe it's all quite amazing to them that there is this in-depth side. Maybe tell us a bit more about like what a week looks like for you guys. Like, how does a pro team work? What do you guys do during the week? What constitutes being a pro, basically?
So yeah, in the half split break between the two PL kind of half seasons, we were doing very much a scrim a night, vodding and stratting before the scrims. More recently, we've decided that it'd be more beneficial to do more of a 3 scrim kind of setup. We found that some of the players were getting more burnt out with how heavy the workload was. So it's definitely become more of a 3 scrim week, more theory crafting stuff, and we hope that'll help kind of our chances moving forward. Other than that, we have our break days, usually a Sunday or a Saturday, depending on if we get scrims for those days. And yeah, it's very full on, but it's worth it. Yeah.
Do you have any idea roughly how many hours you reckon you put into practicing?
So a scrim will usually be 3 or 4 maps. More recently, a lot of teams are scrimming with a 6-6 format where you play 6 attacks and then 6 defenses, which usually will take around an hour and 10 maybe. So at least an hour a map, and 3 or 4 maps. It's usually 4 hours a night. If we do stratting stuff, it might be an hour before, so it could be 5 hours a night times 5, maybe 25 hours a week. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have matches and
and that's without like ranked and T-Hunt and casual and whatever else you do on the side,
So would you divide things into like individual practice and team practice? You kind of talked about your scrims and your practicing with the team, but what goes into, I guess, your individual side? I know a lot of people talk about being an FPS, obviously mechanical skill, being able to aim, being able to tap heads, super important. You know, what are the kinds of things you do to fix up that? And I know, Raven, like you're probably a much better person to speak to this because you've actually got coaching experience and you are an active coach, freelance. So things like communication and keeping mental headspace, like these are all individual skills. What are the kinds of things that you would do for that?
In terms of like managing mindset, that kind of stuff, is that you're asking me?
Anything. I mean, I'm kind of focusing on, we talked about the team stuff. What about like the individual stuff and the whole aspect? Like I'm just spitballing here, but you two would both have a much better idea of what kinds of things you need to improve on as an individual.
Yeah, well, I think something that is really undervalued is people working on themselves, not in like a mechanical aspect, but as, I guess you could say, as a teammate, which is really down to your mindset, because you could be like God's gift to Siege, but if you're a bad human, then it's kind of hard to work with you. Your team's not going to work well together, and you'll probably end up getting kicked or something like that. So I think it's really important that people just work on themselves. So being open to feedback, how to take on feedback, how to give feedback without it being too critical, but also about having, I guess you'd say, a thick skin, but just not being hurt by certain situations and by things. And to do so, I usually recommend like meditation is fantastic for your health, your mental health, and competitive mindset as well. And that's not as complex as a lot of people think it is to get into. There are a lot of apps that you can use that will guide you through the process, and it's never a massive time commitment. It can be as simple as 5 minutes a day, and that can be enough for you to ensure that you have like a consistent baseline that you're working from, and that will really help you with things like consistency. That's always a massive complaint or a massive issue with a lot of people. They say, oh, I'm always really inconsistent. I'll get like 12 frags one game and the next I'll get like 3. And of course, there's a lot of variables, but I personally believe that a lot of that comes down to mindset as well.
And just if I can continue on from that, when Raven coached me, he taught us a lot about mindfulness and that kind of individual aspect of our game, and I've taken a lot from that. In terms of getting in the zone, we talked a lot about flow state, which has been really beneficial for me. Talking more about mechanics as well. It doesn't take a lot to keep yourself mechanically sharp, especially in Siege, where it's very team oriented, and in a competitive aspect, there's a lot of info as well. So it's not so much about being, the better shot than the person you're shooting at, but working together to achieve that goal. So it could be anything from an hour of T-Hunt a day. Could be before or after scrims. Like people will use aim trainers. I know I use Kovacs a little bit, just to keep myself mechanically sharp, but still definitely focusing on the mental aspect more than anything.
I know Fisho is obsessed with which aim trainer is it? Is it FPS?
It is Kovacs. Yeah. It is
Kovacs.
It's Kovacs. And Osu as well.
Yeah, no, I was talking with the other UB guys who were like, they were asking me, what is he streaming? And I'm like, yeah, he's just insane at that aim trainer. He just streams it all day.
Yeah. As soon as I joined Team Sinister, I was kind of invited to the Kovacs cult.
Do you guys like fun. Compare times? You're like, look at this run I did, and you posted in the Discord server.
Definitely. The mechanical skill is what drives me to do it, but the competitiveness between teammates is what brings me back. Definitely.
Yeah, I love that. So, we've kind of been talking really high level, I guess. We're really talking about pro stuff and like Raven. What do you do when you're coaching a pro level team? Yourself being a pro player, Vinny, like that's what's in the forefront of your mind. But what about if I'm just like a regular Joe and I want to play the game after work and that's my leisure time, but I also want to win games because who doesn't, right? Like, what can you kind of take away from that and apply to, like, the 90% or the 99% of people who are playing Rainbow Six and just, they want to show off that plat charm to their friends or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think a big way to improve in general is to base yourself around consistency. I think in the pursuit of perfection, people will constantly just change things up, which isn't always a bad thing, but changing things too much is bad. So you might reanalyze your gameplay. Like if you're really into improving, you maybe record your matches, you watch them back, and you're like, all right, I'm going to figure out what I'm doing wrong. And then you start changing all this stuff. But then because you're so into analyzing what you need to fix, you don't analyze like what's good, which means that you end up changing what's good. And people end up saying, oh, I used to be so good at pushing this direction or something like that, but I can't do it anymore. And it's just because they changed their playstyle a certain way to fix one thing, but there's always going to be other areas that get affected. So I think like evenly analyzing your matches for what's bad and for what's good is a really important thing.
Yeah,
most definitely.
That's so me as well. Like the over analyzing. I am that like I feel like there's an answer to everything, and sometimes for me I'm like, you know, I look at a round we lost and I'm like, oh, this is the reason we lost that. We have to fix this and this and this. And then like the round comes and like an Ash just like sprints in and like you forget the basics. It's like sometimes you really just have to let everything, I guess, slip away and just focus on doing what you got to do instead of trying to think of it like it's some super complicated theorem or something. Because there's a big difference to, you know, what's on the piece of paper and what actually happens.
Yeah. I mean, Vinny, like you're still pretty active in Pro League. Like, how do you go about, as a person, not so much as the team? Like, if you feel like you're struggling with something, how do you go about approaching that?
So, like you spoke about, it's just consistency and not overcomplicating the situation. I think, even in the all the way up to the pro scene, you see people that change their, you know, their sensitivity or their aspect ratio or their mouse pad or their chair. Like, it could literally be anything. In like that pursuit of perfection, but realistically, like just being consistent, and you know, everybody gets their slumps, and just working through those slumps, being consistent in the way that you train and the way that you play, like your own play style, is really important. So definitely just being consistent.
So look, at any point we can go and start focusing on the map that we wanted to break down. Do you guys feel like there's anything else you want to talk about before we jump in game?
I'm ready to jump in.
Yeah, we can just jump straight into a map if you want to. That's definitely doable.
All right. Well, I got removed from my session because I was in a custom game lobby for like half an hour. So could one of you guys chuck me an invite? And
I can invite.
That'd be awesome.
I only want to. Sweet.
And
rearrange my 1,000 windows as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. I'm also going to just put a disclaimer out there: no judging ranks, please, everybody, because it's been a tough season. All right, no judging my settings as well. I feel like that's going to happen.
Oh, the rollback has been unbelievable this season.
Oh, really?
I was champion, but
I noticed that you weren't champion. Not gonna try to throw shade there.
Wow, you lied to us. How did you get on this show if you're not champion anymore, Vinny? Like, far out, man.
Champion ring.
I'm just gonna open an alpha pack, and never mind, it's an uncommon and a duplicate. That's all right. I got my 550 renown. That's all that matters, mate.
Oh, good.
There is judgment coming out in chat for the plat 2. I'm sad.
Oh, wait till I see that I'm plat 3.
Yeah,
Yikes.
Yike. I'm actually surprised that I'm still in plat 2. I've kind of been all over the place. All right, no stats shaming here. Let's. So we wanted to talk about Clubhouse, right? Vinny, are you all good to set up the custom since you're the leader?
I can. Yes.
Beautiful.
So if you guys get in, start it up. Awesome.
So I guess firstly, you know, why did you decide to choose Clubhouse? Because we gave you the opportunity to choose the mapper and the operator. Why Clubhouse?
So Clubhouse is probably the most balanced map I feel right now in the current meta of Siege, and it allows plays from both sides in terms of like attacking, making plays, and getting frags, but also being able to coordinate really effective executes. And then in terms of defense, there's a lot of flanking routes. You can waste a lot of time. There's usually more than one way of defending each bomb site, which is common between maps, but also uncommon in terms of like having effective executes and effective defenses on every site. And it's probably one of the easier ones to learn if you're a new player.
5 seconds to insertion.
It's funny, whenever I get into a game, like I've played with a lot of my friends who are quite new to the game. Whenever I feel like we get into a ranked on Clubhouse, I'm really worried about like, oh guys, you gotta thermite this wall, and like there's a lot of utility that needs to be done. It can be a complicated map. So what do you recommend, I guess, as a base level for people who are just trying to learn the map for the start?
Yeah, so in terms of the sites themselves, there's only really 3 bomb sites you should worry about. Bar and Stock is a bomb site, but it's very rarely played, just because of how hard it is to defend, and how out of meta it currently is. So for that, there's only really 3 viable bomb sites that you need to learn.
Yep.
And like the sites...
I was just gonna say, let's start with, let's say, the what you think is the best site to defend, and maybe run us through that one.
Sure. So I feel like, especially when first starting, the bottom floor bomb site will be the best one to defend. In terms of defending it, it's very simple in terms of the attackers, like where they'll be channeling from. If the attackers aren't able to get the hatches open, it'll be very much a main stairs and kind of blue push. And blue's this room over here. So in terms of util...
So there are 3 hatches, right? There's the utility, the blue hatch, the kitchen hatch, which is over here, and the motor hatch.
The motor hatch, yes.
Yeah. So look, since we're down below, maybe you want to run through some kind of basic defense info for this site. Let's say I've just spawned in here. What am I kind of be focusing on if I'm trying to defend?
Yeah, so the first thing obviously will be reinforcements, and making sure that we're blocking off where the defenders will try to exploit. So definitely these 3 triple church walls. And then you'll be looking to defend dirt, definitely. So this big funnel up here is called dirt. And this is like another way that the defenders can breach the bomb site and get nice crossfires into the site. So it's definitely the right idea to reinforce this stuff off. It's pretty hard to defend them from getting it open in terms of using util. Like a mute gem or a bandit charge will usually get destroyed, or a cave claw. So actually defending the walls themselves is pretty pointless, but I know a lot of people that play like a smoke or like a shotgun in dirt for these really tight gunfights, which really does favor the defenders. So definitely in here, the hatches need to get done. Kitchen and moto hatch are usually favored, with the stock hatch being more of an optional kind of reinforcement, depending on how you want to play out the round. And then that becomes like a flex reinforcement in terms of like this Rio could very easily go, say, onto this wall here, which we call Ash Wall. And the reason for that is that it was very meta for an Ash to open this wall and kind of rush into the back of the armory and get a lot of control of site very quickly.
Yeah, that's the big yeet wall. If you want to go for the big yeet, that's what you do.
That's the yeet wall, definitely. Actually, in saying that, Pat from Wildcard opened this wall twice against us last match as Ash.
Yeah.
Really?
Into site, yeah.
Yep.
And one thing I've also noticed is teams not reinforcing this wall so they can sit kind of here in Arsenal and then look towards this this short hallway for anyone who's trying to go towards Moto. What's kind of the situation with that? Like, in what situation would I be thinking, oh, maybe I won't reinforce this wall as a defender because I want to use this angle, versus I need to reinforce this to prevent the big yeet?
So yeah, if you know, if you've stratted out a team and you know they're a very church-heavy attacker team, you'll probably leave this soft. And this allows you to like stop a thermite or a maverick from getting to the wall and opening up your reinforcements.
Yeah, I can basically see you anywhere on that wall, and if I say I destroy these boxes here, I can kind of see you even better.
You can get really good angles in. I know a lot of people use bullet holes as well, or like punch holes to get some angles that the attackers can't really fight back from. Or even opening up the top of the wall and throwing C4s over, also really effective.
Yeah, nice.
You're about to throw a grenade.
No, hey, I don't have grenades, mate.
You got stuns.
Yeah, I got stuns. So, look, Raven, you've been opening up a lot of rotates on the site because you're playing, is it the smoke or the mute? You got that
smoke,
shotgun.
yeah, smoke. So,
kind of talk us through some of the rotates you've been making.
Well, blue is a pretty popular and also important spot to hold because, especially if you're going to play a bit of a roam strat. So people talk about the classic SSG roam, which is just basically spreading your roam quite vertically so that teams have to clear it out. And you need to hold blue to kind of enable that because it's quite vulnerable to a rush down these storage stairs or even just a push down storage stairs if you don't hold blue. And a really good way to hold blue is to have these rotates because if you do get a bit of pressure or you need assistance, then you want to be able to move freely between sites. So it's just a good way to extend it. This one into Arsenal isn't as common, but I have seen teams play a rotate here because same reason, it's just easier.
And when you are trying to rotate here, there is a little bit of a spot where you are kind of exposed to that, the blue stairs up there.
Yeah.
So I guess you have to be careful.
Yeah, 100%. And then, like, the good thing is also if you're trying to get back into Arsenal to defend against a plant, which is usually going to be deep Arsenal, like, the defaults will be behind bomb in this corner or, like, over near the rack. If you can't rotate back through church, like through the main stairs, or you're worried about maybe a harder angle from dirt, so, like, dirt has, like, a really long angle towards the blue door, that's when this corner rotate can be really helpful because you'll get to sneak back in and then maybe you get a chance to like use utility or something to deny where the plant is. It just creates a bit of safety.
Yeah, so I guess once they the attackers open this hatch in kitchen, oops, I'm gonna die to that smoke, they can more easily cut off your rotations through this main hallway here, and same with dirt, so that kind of gives the defenders a second rotation option.
Yeah, exactly.
So what about, I mean, I know when I jump in a lot of the time, my first priority, if I'm often playing, you know, the smoke or the mute zone with the shotgun, my first priority is usually to kind of open a rotate hole around here so that it's really easy to get between the bomb sites. What's your kind of advice with this? And I mean, feel free to chime in, either of you. Like, is this a good way to put a rotate? I've seen a lot of pro teams, they don't actually put a rotate here, they put a rotate kind of further down a little bit and then just low holes here. What's your kind of thought process behind this this area?
So yeah, typically we would open up a little bit higher on the rotate, and then use this either to peek the guy that's holding the kitchen hatch, because you can get very deep angles from kitchen hatch into sight around this bomb box or Schmed box back here. Around blue.
I love that people call this Schmed box. That's such an OG call right there. What Schmed was playing in, like, he played in what's now Wildcard when they were Atletico in 2017, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it was a very long time ago. Before my time, definitely. And then, yeah, like, not even used as a rotate that often, this one in the middle of the hallway. It can be pretty easily cut off from bottom main. Which means that for a rotation between church and armory, it usually takes somebody to either contest the guy bottom main, so that you can get across safely, or usually more just for a C4 toss over the top to get the guy planning behind the bomb. Yeah,
and I guess you could use smokes for that as well. You mentioned this bottom main stairs position. Now, in pretty much every pro round, you'll see someone go here on the attacking side, and you can kind of contest that really long angle all the way down into the back of Arsenal. If there are holes in this wall, I guess you can contest through that. You can see that double door on the church, and you can help kind of take Moto. So I'm guessing this is a very, very strong position for the attackers. What kind of advice would you give an attacker who's kind of playing here? What's their purpose, and what should they keep in mind?
Yeah, so this is typically the position that I would be playing as well during a match. The one thing that I'm really worried about is a C4 over the top of the church wall. So usually that will get opened, and if you hear a C4 rip, it's your cue to get out, definitely. Or get ready to shoot it. So that's usually the biggest issue. As a defender, you'll try to clear out this position if possible with a C4, or maybe do like a double push or something. Since it's such a strong anchor position, it can really like, regardless of whether you're doing a church or an armory attack, this guy can have a massive influence on the round. So very important to get rid of him as soon as possible.
I know playing games with you, Raven, you're often that guy who plays inside church, and you're often doing that C4 trick there. And it's really common that the defenders are going to have information on a person playing the bottom of the main stairs. There is this camera that spawns in this corner just here, and you can kind of just see people's feet, or you can use it for audio calls if the attackers haven't taken it out. And maybe there'll be like a bulletproof camera on the far side up on that other wall. So I guess... It's a priority for you when you're playing in church to try and kill this bottom main stairs guy with the C4?
Yeah, it's just so helpful. It's like Vinny said, like that person can have a massive effect on the rounds, and you don't want them to sit there comfortably. I just wanted to paint an outline around you, man. Yeah, you don't want them to sit there comfortably because they can cut really important rotates and have a massive impact on the round. So definitely that C4 over the top is a pretty big play if you can land it, because sometimes you even get doubles there. Like the amount of times I've actually hit a double kill C4 over that wall is pretty insane. Because like against ranked squads in particular, they tend to stack up a little bit, you know, and main stairs is a common stack point.
Yeah, people will try and file through like main stairs or do the ash yeet. So I guess we've talked quite a bit about the bottom floor, and I want to save time to kind of go through the map. So Vinny, if you want, we could move on to one of the other bomb sites. One thing I will say is if anyone wants to... Do you guys know the C4 lineup for that that spot? You guys reckon you could show us?
I actually think Vinny showed me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll just say if anyone in chat wants to see the C4 lineup, let us know and we can go back to that later. But for now, let's move on to the second objective.
So yeah, the second most popular objective I'd say is CCTV cache, which is the second floor bomb site adjoined to connector and garage. And typically this is played, especially in the current meta, with the defenders trying to keep this wall closed for as long as possible, which people would know as Kennel's wall. And typically either like hard holding garage, since it's such a strong position, especially this catwalk, it gets angles into both CC, it gets angles for the con entry into cache, and you know, just being an all-round good position. Yeah.
All right. So why don't you start running us through like the all the positions that let's say we're playing a defense round right here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Talk us through some of the different positions. Where would the rotation holes go? Where would you put your Rios, and what are your priorities? Where you're expecting the attackers to come from?
So yeah, you definitely always need somebody playing in the garage catwalk. They'll usually have you know, an ADS or Will Midas to protect them from nades and stuns and flashes and things like that. And they'll try hard hold this catwalk basically till death. The rotate for them will usually be around this wall here.
Like that? Put a crouch height one or a full height one?
That comes down to preference, I'd say. And then this wall will get Rio'd to protect them from the long angle from K9 wall or Kennel's wall if this does get open, since this guy on the breach can see most of 90.
Why don't we open up that angle and you can kind of show me? Let's say I'm kind of contesting the bottom Kennels thing. You can kill me like basically anywhere I am right now.
Yeah, around 90 definitely. That wall definitely needs to get reinforced.
So if I'm sitting in this corner, can you still? I guess you can still peek me there as well. So
yeah,
there's basically nowhere safe I can sit here if that wall gets opened.
Yeah, it definitely forces the defender to, say, go prone behind DR, and then their movement is really restricted. They're much more vulnerable to things like Capitower Flame, or nades or stuns. So definitely trying to keep Kennel's wall closed, and as like a secondary objective, trying to keep this garage wall closed.
Right, alright, let's run through some other positions. You showed us catwalk, where else?
Yeah, so cache obviously is like the second part of the site, and to keep this part safe, you want to keep control of con for as long as possible, or maintain some level of controlling con. This would require these two to get Rio'd, so people inside Master and con can't get angles into the site. I know a lot of teams reinforce this wall outside. We call it external con wall. And again, this isn't really a huge deal because you can't really get any angles from outside into the site, but it can give you a much easier control of connector. So
I want to say too, real quick with that wall, best underutilized rush strat ever is if you see this soft. Most people are really busy dealing with like garage, catwalk, setting up CC, or on like an extra room. If you just like buck this and funnel through, you're like insta onside. I reckon 80% chance you catch them off guard.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people don't play like around cash like too heavy since this whole floor is destructible. If the other team has stock control underneath, this becomes like, you know, hell to deal with. There isn't really anywhere safe in this whole room, so yeah, definitely could work.
So I guess on that, you just mentioned one of the players on the defense should probably be kind of in cash, maybe having some early presence in con. If they're, let's say I'm Buck and I'm downstairs in stock and I start to open up this floor, what are you going to be doing if you're the defender playing in this room?
So once they have stock control, it's definitely a matter of either dealing with the Buck below to make sure he can't continue.
So you mean contesting these holes?
So you could contest the holes. It could become like you're contesting these holes while you get a teammate to flank down and maybe pressure him from another way, get a bit of a crossfire on him. Otherwise, it's definitely to just like try and get to a safe location where he can't see you. I know they increased Buck's magazine capacity on his skeleton key, but you know, it would take a lot of shotgunning to get the whole floor open. So maybe just finding areas where you're safe. It could also be holding holding cash, from outside of cash. Which becomes, you know, holding CC control.
Okay, so let's say I'm in here and I'm really feeling the pressure. I want to escape. There's probably going to be a rotate hole on this wall, right? This is the best spot, yeah?
Definitely, yeah.
Alright, so I can go and play at the top of these red stairs here.
Yeah. And this is completely indestructible since it is concrete, so you're at no risk of dying to the Buck.
Awesome. So maybe this is another spot. You've got two positions so far. We've got garage, catwalk, we've got cash. Red stairs strikes me as another spot you want to have an anchor playing.
So it'll kind of depend on the team's playstyle, but this player could be more of a flex. They could rotate down, kind of contest around lounge. But definitely you want somebody, especially when the attackers are about to execute, holding the top of red stairs, since this person can watch both the red stairs walk up, if they run in from Canine wall or Channels wall, sorry, and also the condor. So this person is very similar to like the bottom main kind of setup. They can basically see all of the entry points for the attackers. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You can cut off the main exterior Kennels wall. You can cut off the window into the catwalk. You can kill anyone playing con as well. But maybe you need this wall reinforced to hide behind.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. So I know a lot of teams do this Rio. Depending on how risky you're feeling, you might be able to play without it and kind of wiggle around these metal kind of railings.
Yeah.
You can get some nice headshot angles as well, just over the top of that railing. But yeah, typically this wall will get reinforced.
And something else I've seen, especially when Thatcher is banned, is attackers will kind of go underneath into lounge here and open up this ceiling, which goes directly onto that external Kennels wall. And if you see Raven just playing right there, like you can kind of fight me if I'm looking at this up at the ceiling right now. You can kill me.
You want to fight? Is that what you said?
If I kill you, the round ends. So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Look, what else is important to know on this site? You feel free to chime in.
Yeah, just continuing on what you were just talking about, the current meta is very much Thatcher ban. And in saying that, a lot of teams are also banning Maverick, which seems to be the only way to directly counter like a K trick or a bandit trick on the wall. So teams have started coming underneath to try to get rid of util. And it takes a lot more coordination since, like you said, the people top red can peek you. People around lounge can contest you and pressure you, so it's more dangerous but much more effective.
All right. If you feel like we've pretty much talked about most of the things you want to talk about for the defenders, actually, I guess there's one more thing. Maybe Raven, you can show us bandit tricking on this site.
Yeah. I still have reinforcements, so I can reinforce these walls. I mean, we don't have a hard breacher, but I can still kind of demonstrate it. Yeah.
So
yeah, you would bandit trick.
Give a TLDR of what bandit tricking is, if anyone doesn't know, just in case.
Yeah, so normally, like, if you're playing bandit, you try and deny a wall being breached, you would just chuck your bandit charges down, and then that's it. You would just leave it. It usually gets cleared, and then the wall gets open anyway. with a bit of a time delay. So bandit tricking is where it's down to personal preference. Some people will play with one already placed, and they'll play with one in their hands. But the idea is that you're trying to listen in for, let's say, a Thermite placing charges or Hibana X Kairos, and then once you hear them hit the wall, then you would place your charge.
Right,
and then once you hear them get destroyed, yep, you can pick it back up. And so some people call it juggling as well, because you're picking up and putting it down, and it really feels like you're just constantly juggling. If you feel really confident in your ability to do so, what's usually best is to have none there, because then they think, oh, wall's free, or they're not sure, so they have to actually drone it. And then you just play like a sound cue of which side it is. And it's like a bit of a cat and mouse game with the attackers on how they counter you doing that. Or if it's really intimidating and they're not sure how to deal with it, they'll rotate away. So that means that you're really forcing their hand in the way they attack, and you can create them to, funnel from a different side.
And maybe if you want to as well, if you think that they've decided to run off and they're not going for this one, you could even go and put your batteries on this wall over here that goes into con as well.
And then you could just do this. You could even do the same process. I've seen people bandit juggle on this before. It's also not necessarily as easy to prevent as the other wall, because for both of them, if you want vertical control, like if Thatch is banned, you still have to be inside the map, and that creates a vulnerability for the attackers to have to deal with.
Lovely. Oh my god, I potatoed. That was embarrassing. Yeah, cool. I feel like that's a pretty good summary of Cash. I know we could go into more detail about ways to counter the bandit trick. You could use Capitao or Zephyr, but maybe we'll save that and we can talk about it later, because we have been going on this for a really long time, and I'd love to get a chance to see the third site, which is probably the least well-known site. So do you guys want to take us through bedroom?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll just stick the buck again.
I actually chose gym bedroom this time.
Oh, really? Legendary. My immersion.
10 seconds to insertion.
So, Vinny, prep phase, where are you putting your drone if it's gym bedroom?
Ooh, I can't tell you that.
Oh!
I don't want anyone to know. I can.
In ranks, where are you putting it?
Okay, the key areas, you want to know that typically there's nobody roaming downstairs, so you might put pre-placed drones that see, kind of like the two staircases that go from top floor to middle floor. So maybe a main stairs drone and a cash stairs drone.
Cool.
If nobody comes down the stairs, then you're free to take second floor, and you don't have to worry about droning it or getting into gunfights really early on. So typically that's in Pro League. I can't tell you where my drone is.
I see Luna is in chat. He just hits it with the lol.
Fisher girl will kill me.
Nah, you're just hiding the fact you can't remember it, right? You just don't know your default positions.
Gonna have an angry message from Nico later. For sure. Alright, cool.
Yeah, like I said, bar and stock isn't generally played, so the third bomb site would be gym bedroom. Some teams prefer this as their first site, depending on the meta and what operator.
I've heard that Pittsburgh Knights really like this objective.
So yeah, it allows you to kind of extend across into cash and con and kind of hold this kind of area, and that allows good fragging teams to really hard hold areas with operators like Jaeger and Castle and stuff like that.
So going back to basics for a second, if I'm kind of new to this game, I see this objective and I see that it's got these two windows, goes straight onto the bomb site. First thing I'm gonna do is sit here on these windows with my ACOG looking in and look. You want to go and bandit trick that wall over there? You're dead. I could shoot through this wall here. I can see a lot of people. So what are you gonna do about that?
So yeah, if you're trying to deal with somebody on, we call this suicide balcony, rightfully named. If you're sitting on here for too long, you'll probably die.
Yeah.
But to be standing on there like really confidently, you'll need this CC control, this room here, since this is like the only kind of like off angle that you won't be looking at.
Yeah, right.
When you're looking into the site. So typically an attacking team will try to take this even just this room, just to make sure that anyone playing on this balcony is nice and safe.
Right, and then if I guess you're also kind of exposed to this window here, and like let's say I want to make sure that I have CFC control as attacker. I can't really just jump in this window because I'll kind of die over over from there, or maybe someone in here. So if I'm an attacker, what do I come from garage? Maybe open up this external wall, come from the stairs. What's the best way to do it?
If you want to, you can come from all three, really. If you want to pinch anybody in here, you'd be looking to probably come in from two different angles. Usually this wall will get opened. It allows you to see anybody playing inside CC already, and you don't really want to be contesting anybody on that balcony. There's a lot of off angles. They could be like repelled, and it's only a headshot angle. So typically you'll get this wall open. People might take garage if it's free. That comes down to free-place drones.
So you want to take...
typically defenders, will hold in here.
So defenders hold here so that the attackers can't get control of... Raven, do you mind getting out of my way? Jeez.
Sorry, bro. Sorry, man.
Defenders playing there, so attackers can't take here, which means that the attackers can't feel safe on that balcony. So it's kind of like a series of, I don't know, what if, and everything is kind of trying to work together.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Maybe looking back at the site for a second, Raven, you had a ton of rotation holes. You're pulling a Shaz, so please talk me through these. I'm confused.
Yeah, I made a bunch. It's like Vinny said, like you generally want to extend your hold over to CCTV cache, because if you don't, that's really important map control that the attackers will take really quick. So you want to also create safe rotates back, because you can get cut off from this construction window pretty easily. So one way is hatch. So if you come in from cache, you could quickly drop hatch if you think bar is safe. Alternatively, you can come through logistics. This is a pretty good rotate to have. And then usually somebody will drop back and then actually play logistics. So there's a couple of safe areas you can play in logistics. Hard up against this bookshelf is a bit sketchy, but you're relatively safe except for grenades. Otherwise, you might play in the secret cupboard. Ironically, aptly called secret on the compass.
Oh wow, yeah, it is secret stash.
And then it's good to have a rotate back into master, because you don't want to get stuck in that cupboard either.
Right. So on the bomb site, the 101 of Siege is you hold the bomb site, right? But it's not always as simple as just chuck people on the bomb site, because they can die pretty easily. So like this B bomb site, you've made a lot of holes. I'm going to take a stab and say you're probably almost never going to have someone in this room as a defense. You're just going to try and prevent the attackers from being in here.
Yeah, so the idea of the foothold ones is to make it feel not comfortable to plant there, pretty much at any stage. Because like even when they get control of this whole side, all you have to do is be able to retake construction, for example, and you can go prone and see most plant spots in gym. So you don't even have to retake master to be able to use those holes, which is really great. So that's the main purpose of those ones. And then all the rotates are just to make it feel more flowy to move through the bomb sites, because if you think about none of those being open, to get to gym from master, you have to go all the way around those hallways. So that's really easy to die from. And then likewise, if you want to get to logistics, there's just the single doorway. So you want to try and make it more free-flowing so you can actually move through the map or move around site without actually having dramatic issues or being really easily cut off.
Yeah.
So let's say you're playing a ranked game or a comp game or whatever, and you notice that there is one spot where a defender could be sitting on this site, and they're not there. Like, what would be the most crucial position for that defender to be playing? And if that person dies, then you really have to replace them and get someone to sit there. Is there a particular spot for that comes
Probably
to mind?
Bathroom, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would say too.
Especially if they have something like a rotation here. This rotation basically means they're trying to make sure that this bathroom player can see both sides pretty freely and rotate back and forth between like more of the safe areas of the map. So this gym hallway is usually pretty safe unless they get the jacuzzi wall open.
And that's pretty common, right? Like you'd think most rounds the attackers get this wall open, especially because you can't really bandit trick this if there's that window over there.
So yeah, it would wholly depend on how hard the defenders are trying to protect the wall. So they might bring a castle and castle off this door. Bring ADSs, which makes attacking the wall a whole lot harder. And as well using utility that could be used for say like a cache clear or something like that.
So let's say I'm the defense and I have lots of castle barricades, ADSs. Maybe I have a bandit sitting here. And I've invested so much utility over here, the attackers would then have to invest a whole ton of utility to clear that. And
exactly right.
If the attackers do that, they still don't have any control of cache or anything else.
Yeah. This is very much more of a cut-off position rather than like a lot of map control.
Okay.
You really only since getting that wall open, you really only have control of the main hallway, which is important, of course, but if it means using up all your utility just for this wall, it'd probably be best spent over at cache side.
All right. What else on this site? Any other positions that are really important to talk about?
So I think this site, the important thing is like it's very much a give and take in terms of map control. If like you start off holding the cash room, but then you decide they're investing all the utility there, and you need to fall off, you'll try to find ways to fall back into areas like connector, back into logistics. These are like very important parts of the map control. It could even be like, going down main stairs, taking main stairs control, and being able to deny plant from below. Since
maybe
most
show me
of the
some spots we can do that.
Yeah, so like the default plant spots are around the bomb here, which can be opened. It's behind this mattress, which can be opened. I think they're the two main default plants, unless they come in and plant inside gym, which can all be opened as well.
So why don't you show me downstairs where that comes out to be?
Yeah.
Because honestly, like, I actually don't know these spots. Like, I know kind of the gym ones, but I don't even know the bedroom ones.
So they're pretty much right next to each other. The mattress one, like, you basically just line yourself up with like this pole and just C4 above it.
Right.
And then that'll get behind the mattress, and then move just a little bit over to like the left side of this divider. And then around the same spot near the pole, you'll get anybody playing behind the bomb.
And if you're a defender, you actually see the A bomb through the wall, so you can kind of gauge where. If someone says they're planning on the south side of the bomb, that's like right here, and you don't even necessarily need a ping to see where that is.
Exactly, chuck it up, and it's a free kill. There's only one spot on the whole of both sites that can't be denied from below. Which is just outside of Secret Stash, so just around this wooden floor, which looks like it should be able to, be able to be destroyed.
Oh wow!
But it is concrete, so some attackers might opt to plant around here, since it can't be denied from below.
That's the kitchen hallway, I think.
Yes, this is rear stage, and then right on the concrete is kitchen hallway.
There is a very, very thin angle you can get from bar at an angle onto that position.
Oh,
but it's pretty sketch. Like, it's hard to rely on and hard to figure out as well.
Alright, I mean, we've been through 3 sites. We've had 3, 10, 12-minute rounds on it. Do you want to keep talking on that, or do you want to move on to some operator-based stuff?
I think that's about everything in terms of Clubhouse.
Alright, cool. I mean, we can stay on Clubhouse if you want to show us IQ stuff. How do you want to play this one, Vinny?
Yeah, we can stay on Clubhouse. I can show you a few things.
Alright, cool. Any specific operators you want?
Can you go Valkyrie, Raven?
Yep.
Cool.
Done.
So, with IQ, probably the most important of her roles is very much info denial for the defenders. So, operators like Valkyrie, Echo, Maestro, they're very important operators that provide the defenders with info that they otherwise wouldn't have, from like default cams, since they're so easy to get. So definitely her primary role as soon as she's in the map is to find things like Valkyrie cams, Echo cams, since like usually they're pretty hard to spot. Just as like a bare naked, naked-eyed attacker, but with the help of her gadget, she can. Actually, I'll take it easy.
Yeah, do that.
You want me to put any particular cams?
No, just chuck them around. And, so as soon as she gets a gadget out, I can turn off. I can't turn it off. That's good. Yeah, you'll be able to see like any electronics in a 20-meter radius. So it's like a long way. So like that's the B-bomb below kitchen in armory, and that is the max range around there. So something like a Velcam will come up as like a circle. We'll have like the pulsating rings coming from it and the distance, how far away it is. As soon as I move out of a 20-meter radius, I won't see it anymore.
I think that radius is pretty important to be aware of, because I used to play a lot of IQ when it had a larger radius, and I think it still catches me off. Like, I might walk into, like, lounge and quickly whip out the scanner and see that I don't see anything towards bar, but actually, the radius probably doesn't even go that far.
No, yeah, exactly. So if you were in lounge, you'd have to almost make it to around Archer's door before you actually see that Valkyrie cam, which is pretty much positioned centrally in bar, which I'm assuming can see basically this whole portion of the map. So yeah, the ranges are very important, definitely.
Alright, so is it just Valcams you wanted to show us, or is there any other uses? I know we've got some clips, I'm happy to show those as well whenever you want.
Yeah, so Valkyrie cams and like Echo cams and stuff like that are her primary role, but secondary she can see things like Vigil's EOD, I can't remember what it's called. But basically when he's cloaked, you can see him through walls and his range, and you can see when he's uncloaked. You can also see things like Pulse's scanner. So whenever he's on scanner, it almost becomes IQ's job to find him out and go shoot him in the face from above.
Do you want me to show you that clip now?
Yeah, sure. You can show him probably the Vigil clip first.
Alright, we're going to come back to face cams, so just make sure you put your pants back on and all that.
Oh yeah, damn. Hang on, 2 secs.
Too late, bro. Too late. Alright, let me get this one off. I'm just going to mute the game for a sec. Alright, which one? Vigil first you wanted?
Yeah, sure.
Alright. So this is actually on Clubhouse right now, and you're kind of tracking the Vigil through bar coming in from strip, and then you just change to your primary weapon and spray through the wall. Was that a call? You knew there was a Vigil around?
So like we were talking about before, one of the default ways to hold the bottom floor is an SSG room, and typically that involves a Vigil playing around bar. Since his ability allows him to, basically when he's on scanner, you can actually see his Vigil static above as well. So he can kind of like fool defenders into, attackers, into thinking that he's on either of the 2 floors. And I kind of read into that. They'd been running SSG roam for a few rounds. So I moved into strip and basically just tried to look for him. And like an opening peek like that's really important in taking, a bar is like very important map control. So yeah, that was basically the whole reason that I kind of moved away from what I would typically do. So as an IQ, like I said before, my job would be to like go onto the roof maybe and kind of scope out the utility, since that 20-meter radius can see a lot. And yeah, I just kind of made a on the fly kind of play and look for the Vigil.
And you decide to change over to your primary weapon, because obviously you can only use a pistol with a scanner. Like, I know some people would just try and take the fight with the pistol. What was it that made you decide to go with the primary there?
Previous experience, trying to shoot a Vigil with a pistol while he's running around is not easy.
Yeah.
And I've run into occasions before where I've tried to shoot a Vigil through that wall, and he's basically just sprayed me back through it with a gun that's much higher fire rate and much more damage and has destroyed me. So, just get the info and get a big gun to kill him.
Yeah, nice. And so, like, if you know that the enemy team has a Vigil, should you be running around, like, with your IQ scanner out for half the round, or is it something you just whip out, like, when you get a call that they think they're in a specific room? Like, if, let's say you're playing ranked, you don't have teammates to drone for you, you're droning for yourself, like, is it still viable to do that?
So, yeah, it's all about, like, the priorities with an IQ player. You definitely want to be looking for things like Valkyrie cams and Echo cams before you start moving onto those kind of, like, secondary objectives, which might be, like, a pulse. A pulse could almost be primary, but like a Vigil, you would never be running around trying to find him unless it was like a very specific call that you got, or like you're very aware of where the Vigil might be, and you're looking at a very specific area. Other than that, you should be looking for more info, kind of electronics, definitely.
Did you want to do the pulse one now?
Yeah, we can do that too.
Sure. So I'll let it play and we can kind of talk through it. I'll just explain what's going on because I know you can't see my screen right now. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you're playing Coastline, we're moving in through Aqua, and you've got your scanner out. It looks like you're looking for Echo drones at first, and then I think you see that pulse below, and this time you actually do stick with the pistol. So kind of talk through that one. Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely walked into Aqua looking for Echo drones or ADSs or anything that could hinder our execute, since it was kind of late in the round. And then I did get a call off a drone that there was a pulse below with the scanner out. And straight away that means, that becomes my primary objective, since he poses like a direct threat to anybody in Aqua, which was me and I think one other teammate. So at that stage, it definitely becomes, find the pulse and try to kill him from above. Since he has his scanner out, it means that he's not a threat at that exact point in time, so the pistol is fine. Plus, I want to keep an eye on where he's moving around below to make sure he doesn't get out of my range.
So I guess the distinction here is that, like, when you're playing against the Vigil, you kind of knew he was going to run towards the main stairs. So all you had to do was switch to the primary and hold down left click at head level. He was bound to walk past there. Whereas here, and if you use the pistol on Vigil, like you said, he'd shoot you back through the wall. So
exactly.
Here, you know the Pulse can't shoot you back because he's holding that scanner up. But and you kind of, if you whipped out your primary here, like we'd have no idea where he went.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if you like switched off and threw a C4 up, I'd be able to see exactly where he throws the C4.
And maybe shoot the C4.
I would very much recommend running away from the C4. The metal bars vertically are not kind, especially with C4s. So
all right,
cool. Go the other way.
All right, well, I'll chuck us back on the in-game screen, and you can show us anything else you wanted.
I'm not quite sure what else I could show.
Is there anything on this map that's maybe relevant, or any other specific maps? Like, would you pick IQ on this map, and like why, or when would you pick an IQ?
So typically, I would bring an IQ on every map for every round, unless I'm very aware that they're not bringing like really hard info operators like Valkyrie or Echo. She's just so flexible and kind of useful in any scenario. If you can deny any form of info or electronic, which includes stuff like Capcan traps and Legion mines. It kind of encompasses everything in Siege, basically. So she's very useful in any scenario, definitely.
All right, so you talked about the primary gadget. What about, you got breaching charges here? She can take a Claymore instead. Which one did you pick, and what would you actually use them for?
So I bring breaching charges basically all the time. It just improves the versatility that you can bring with IQ. So like, with soft hatches, you can breach them open, which means that getting around the map can be a lot better. If, say, I find out that the site is Armory, then I know that there might be somebody playing around West Armory. So I can breach on top of them and kind of lay down some pressure without having to bring, a sledge or a buck. So it just improves that versatility. If you bring a Claymore, you're basically, allowing or disallowing, the defenders a flank route. But just in terms of her gadget combined with her util, I think the breach charges are much more effective, definitely.
And maybe you kind of help out any buck or sledge players on your team there if you're trying to open up the floor. It doesn't put the pressure wholly on them. Can you kill that pesky little Valk running out? That's
Hey.
Cheers, dude.
She does.
That was rude, Dev. What are you doing?
Well, I noticed that you were busy talking in chat, so I figured may as well. We had 20 seconds of the round left. Come on.
Yeah.
So someone in chat asked if we're going into loadouts. Maybe you want to do that now. I feel like maybe we even finished in game. We can just go back out to the menu and do IQ loadouts. You cool with that?
Yeah, that's cool.
All right.
Good.
Well, abandoned match. Sad face.
Just like playing ranked with you.
Wow, thanks, dude. Appreciate that.
Classic rage quitters.
All right, so I'm just gonna go through. Like you can boot up the menu, but I'll just show people on my menu. So let's go through loadouts. First things first. She's a 3-speed, 1 armor. How's that play into her playstyle?
So she can be a very aggressive operator. 3-speed allows her to get around the map very quickly as well. So in terms of info gathering with her gadget, she can move, basically across the whole map and figure out where all the electronics are pretty quickly, which makes it really useful.
So 3 primary weapons, 1 secondary weapon. What's your go-to? And I guess what attachments and kind of how do you use your setup?
Yeah. So I know that the AUG isn't used very much. I know that the AUG is now on Wamai's loadout, so it's getting used a little bit more. But typically the Commando and the G8A1, which is her LMG, are the 2 most used. My go-to is the LMG, since it has such a high fire rate and really good damage. And recently, or not so recently anymore, but it got the angled grip attachment, which makes it incredibly useful in in aggressive gunfights. And since I'm playing entry a lot of the time, it means that I can get, up close and personal with people. So I'd usually use it one times, like a holographic, and take those close range gunfights rather than those long range ones with an ACOG.
So if you were, like, is there any situation you would put an ACOG on the G8, or would you, like, maybe switch to the Commando in that scenario?
So the ACOG I don't use that often, and if I ever was going to, it would have to be really specific scenario in terms of, like, I might be holding a long angle or a flank for a certain push. If I was going to switch to an ACOG, I'd probably go over to the Commando. It has basically no recoil with a vertical grip, so it makes those long range gunfights really easy. Plus, it has 48 damage, which means that it's 2 or 3 body shots. It should be 3 body shots. Sorry, my math is incorrect, but 3 body shots, which is super powerful for a 3-speed weapon, definitely.
So going on the G8 Silk, since that was your primary, you're talking about a hollow sight. You mentioned the angled grip.
Yep.
It wasn't really this gun wasn't really used a lot back when it only had the vertical grip, but
yeah,
the angled grip made it a lot more versatile. You've talked about how it's going to be really close range, so it's kind of so you can snap more quickly into aim. So basically, you always pick angled. Is that right?
Yeah, almost always I'd pick angled, and I've been using flash hider. It's hard to kind of decipher which muzzle would be the best for the weapon, but I just find that flash hider is a pretty safe bet on all weapons. So look, I've been using the flash.
I'm just going to say I'm happy with that because that's what I'm running, so you're not going to make me look silly.
Definitely the safe bet, the flash. And it also has like 51 bullets and max capacity, which means like I'm very rarely reloading when getting into a gunfight, which definitely gives you the upper hand against a defender who will probably have either a 30 clip or a 25 clip or something like that.
So if you were to take the Commando, is this a kind of personal preference thing? What are the benefits of the Commando, say, over the G8? Like if someone had a different preference to you, what would be the justification for that?
Yeah, so if you were a player that, again, it's still an aggressive weapon with 48 damage, like you can get up close and then it becomes like that really like damaging weapon in terms of like body shots and stuff. But the low fire rate kind of means that like a good defender weapon, such as like Bandit or Alibi, which has like high fire rates, will usually beat you in the gunfight if they hit a headshot. And since the game is so centered around that one hit headshot idea, typically I'd prefer fire rate over damage. But if like your preference is the Commando, then I'd definitely say you can still get as aggressive with it as the G8. Just expect to be reloading after a few gunfights. And the angled grip and the vertical grip are both equally powerful. So
right, yeah. Maybe if you're someone who struggles a bit with hitting headshots all the time, you could move on to the Commando. And maybe if you're someone who's used to playing like a Thermite or another operator that has a slower fire rate gun, it'd be more useful transition for you. What about secondary? So I run the suppressor and the laser on the pistol. Mainly just so that if I'm taking out any cameras or anything, like maybe I'm shooting a pulse to the floor, he won't get that threat indicator and he won't get as much sound, so I can kind of do it a bit more sneaky. But I've seen a lot of people, including pro players, use the muzzle brake instead of the suppressor.
Yeah, so I use the muzzle brake also. I was using the suppressor for a while. I had that kind of same ideology that you have in terms of like shooting pulses to the floor or like shooting belt cams or something like that. You don't really want them to know where you're coming from, but the scenario in which I was shooting pulses through the floor didn't happen very often, so I kind of decided that the muzzle brake would be best. If I do get into like a gunfight and I absolutely have to pull out the pistol, I prefer that little bit of extra damage plus the less recoil.
Yeah, you can kind of see from the recoil graph, it has reduced a lot. I know the recoil graph isn't always giving you a good idea of what it's like in game, but on top of that, 37 damage versus 44, I don't consider myself an expert on the maths, but I think with 37 it ends up being like a 4-hit kill instead of a 3-hit kill against like 2 armors, which are pretty common.
Yeah.
Alright,
cool. Even like the laser sight is the same as any other weapon. Like it's very much just preference. If you're going to be hip firing a lot with a pistol, go ahead, but obviously not the most accurate way to use the weapon, so.
I've seen some people when they're shooting utility through the floor. I think it was Godlegion I first saw do this when he used to play a lot of IQ. He would actually hip fire with it when he was playing IQ. He had his scanner out. He sees like an AEST through the floor. Instead of aiming down the sight to try and shoot it through the floor, he would hip fire it because that way it would kind of get around the bars. I don't know. Is that just is that 200 IQ or is that just a bit of a?
Like with all the pistols, the iron sights are kind of hard to use as is. So it could be just like a kind of an easier way to shoot the utility through the floor. The iron sight can be a bit dodgy.
Yeah, I feel you. All right. Anything else on loadout? I think we've kind of done the whole thing, unless you have a favorite skin.
I mean, if you got Black Ice, you gotta be running Black Ice. Otherwise,
I have Black Ice for the 5.52, but not for the G8, which is the one I actually run.
yeah, same as me. I have it for the Commando and not for the G8. So I've been running the Year of the Pig skin, which has been very. It's brought me good luck, so that's why I keep it on.
Nice. I think I actually had that one. Let's see. There we go. Year of the Pig. Cool. All right. So I feel like if that's a wrap up on IQ, do you feel pretty comfy with where we've covered there?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's just about it.
Right. I have one quick question about her loadout actually. With her gadget, breach charges or claymore, do you often switch between the two, or do you really heavily pick just one of those?
Yeah, it's definitely breach charges more than anything. It like takes a lot of the pressure off the soft breach player on the team, as well as just like improves her ability to make her solo plays and use her utility or her gadget, in conjunction with her utility. Like the claymore can't really be used with her gadget to like kind of combo the two. It's very much like you put the claymore down and then that's where it is for the rest of the round.
All right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Boys, want to play some quick match?
Can do.
What's the time?
Do it.
It's 9:21. Look, we actually got. We were kind of budgeting like 2+ hours here,
Yeah.
So we've made really good time so far. So we can afford to put some of these tips into action.
Sure.
I haven't played quick match in ages.
I don't think I have either. It was very much a ritual after scrims to go into like some quick match and just hang out, but it becomes
like a cooldown.
yeah, it becomes more and more, more and more of a chore. So very much scrims and ranked at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a good point. You talk about it feeling like a chore. I think that's also something that some people don't really realize about being a pro player, is that it does really change how you feel about the game in a way. I mean, of course, you still like the game because you're playing it a lot, but just playing things like quick match, it doesn't feel the same, right?
Yeah, it's like you do your 5 hours of scrims, and then on the side you might be watching VODs or watching Pro League in like other regions, and like just booting up the game sometimes can feel like a chore, but it's definitely like the passion that brings you back to it. If you're not passionate about the game, then you obviously wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I found personally, I play a lot of ranked. A lot of ranked, probably too much. I've got like 150 games this season. I have an addiction.
That's so much, dude.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, I've got that itch to play, really high level, stratted out, whatever. And I don't play Pro League or anything like that, or Go Force really. So I kind of just put that into ranked. But sometimes I get really really serious, and I've noticed I have a couple of other mates who I don't really play ranked with, but I just play casual with them, and I find it can be a nice way to kind of just let your hair down. Also, when there's like the Golden Gun game mode and other kind of arcade events, just a nice way to kind of play the game, but not really stress about it at all.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Definitely, yeah.
I really like a lot of those events. I will forever talk about how much I miss Showdown. Showdown was hands down like the funnest event to play.
Sure.
Just for like chilling out, but also even warming up. Like I felt like it made me feel more accurate. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you were like forced into like like a very extreme situation with a pistol. Like,
oh, okay. Hey, man.
And
What?
We have entered.
What was that about?
Okay.
He just TK'd you and then left the game.
And it's broken my my vote for intentional thing. I can't vote for him.
That actually happened before when we were doing, I think it was when we were doing tests, and Vinny TK'd me, and it kicked him.
It kicked me from the tee, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
We're just doing training grounds, and I had like the pop up, but I couldn't actually couldn't kick you, punish you, or whatever it is. Well, this is looking good. Our vigil was AFK. I reinforced.
I'll go cams. I'll give you guys callouts.
Thank you.
There's a lot spawn junkyard. Ash's front door. She just dropped a fuser front door as well. I think she's gonna rush. Like laundry.
I'll sit laundry.
She's in.
There we go.
Laundry stairs, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a kill. I'm worried I'm not...
Two coming from the west as well. They're gonna come
Alright, boys.
You got this, bro. Easy as. Another one there. Nice.
I'm playing on borderless windowed mode right now.
You're fine. You've got this. I don't have a lobby cam, so I can't tell what's happening in lobby.
I hear one.
I hazard a guess there.
I thought he was coming from the other side.
Oh, one freezer. Thermite just went through freezer. He's probably at freezer door.
Oh, I traded.
Oh, bad luck he traded.
If I had killed that thermite and traded with that Twitch, then it would have been we would have actually won the round somehow.
Yeah, what happened to our vigil? Did he die? Like, I didn't realize that all of a sudden it was just you and Vinny after I died and I was on cams.
Not gonna lie, I have absolutely no idea.
Oh. That was, I don't know what was that team kill. Hopefully we don't get this round. How random.
Yeah. What's the play? What is the play?
Mirror strats, bro. Gotta sweat it out in casual.
So Vinny, someone in chat actually had a really interesting question. Who would be your favorite team outside of APAC?
That is a good question. I really like Ninjas in Pajamas. I love watching Latin American Siege. I reckon they're the most fun to watch. In terms of like every other region, TSM from NA is probably my favorite. And EU has like, you know, obviously G2 is like always a fan favorite. Who else? Rogue. I always like admired the way AC's played. So
he's nuts.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players for sure.
On that,
it's good that you mentioned. Sorry, it's good that you mentioned G2 because Virtue was in chat earlier. I was going to catch you out on that.
I was just going to say, anyone watching at the moment, feel free to chuck questions in the chat. I noticed another one from All Mate Sky. He said, not sure if it's been asked, but Vinny, what are your thoughts on the Oregon rework? I guess since we're playing it right now, so I've got to chat about it.
It's a lot better. I think it provides a lot more flexibility for the defenders to like flank around and have an impact on the round. On the old Oregon, like especially if you were holding bottom floor, it was very much you were either holding up top and then you were stuck up top. There was no way you were getting back down, or you started at the bottom and there was no way you were getting up. So I think it provides a lot more flexibility. I haven't played it a whole lot since I haven't been playing a lot of ranked recently or casual, but yeah, definitely a lot more fun.
Diffuser on me, this guy says. Alright, 5-9 rotate to small tower, I guess.
Good pick. That was Raven's kill.
I deserve a free one.
We got some... Yeah, you do, kind of, I think, after that. Alright, you protect me, I'm reading chat.
The one in garage. Hello.
He dies.
Alright, Vinny, we got one... Oh, okay, he's gone small tower. We got one question, which is... who is... sorry, what kind of underwear do you wear on game day?
My favorite ones have got flamingos on them, and they're like my game day ritual.
Yeah.
Other than that, they're pretty stock standard undies.
No special features, nothing like that.
Nah.
Oh, you actually...
I have one powered once. That was as far as I got in terms of features on my undies.
I have a side question from that actually. Do you have any other game day rituals, like something that's a little bit offbeat, or like what you would consider not normal?
Not a whole lot. I do very like you know, standard kind of ritual stuff. I wear the jersey. What else? Carrying on from when you used to coach me, I do like my 5 minutes of mindfulness, like get my music on and get in the zone a bit. I think it's like very stock standard stuff. Make sure all my teammates are feeling good. So I just check in with everyone. Hey guys, how are we? Standard stuff.
It's one thing I've thought a lot about. When you're playing with someone, it can happen in ranked or whatever, they're a bit tilted or they're not having a good time, it just feels like there's kind of an air of negativity. It can really kind of bring you down, and 90% of the time, for yourself, you're playing this game to win at a pro level, but for a lot of people, they're just playing for fun. So what are the kind of things that you can do to bring what can you bring to the table to make the environment a positive environment?
Yeah, so you want to be playing with people that you genuinely enjoy playing the game with. You never want to force yourself to be playing with those kind of toxic people that bring down the environment. So you'd be doing that. Honestly, just not taking it too seriously. If your goal is to have fun, then bring the operators that you feel most comfortable playing on, and the ones that you'll get the most kills with. If you're a kind of person that's looking solely to win the game, then I'd say try find people that have the same goal as you. If you have people that are trying to have fun, and then some people that are sweating to win, it can be very clashing, and bring down the positivity in the call.
I feel like I'm kind of interrogating you at the moment, but ever since we kind of shouted out and saying people submit your questions, we kind of got a couple in the chat. But yeah, guys, feel free to put a question for me, Raven, or Vinny, who just said that Vinny gets 5 seconds to breathe. Oh, I guess you get to breathe now. Alright, since you have a second, holy crap, Senpai just went for the send.
Worried, yeah.
Someone's asking about your stream. When's your next stream?
Good question. I don't know. It's my schedule. I had a really good schedule going, and then I kind of just
Oh, I can't believe I won that fight. Sorry.
That's alright. I thought that was nice. Yeah, really focusing on 6 Masters. So the streams have been less frequent, but they will be coming back probably in the next couple days to a week.
I saw a good question earlier as well about maps that aren't in comp. Are there any that you want to see come back or get a rework? Or are there any ones that you like in particular?
There aren't a lot that I like outside of comp. I think Outback, everybody hates Outback, but it's not that bad. What else? I despise Chalet. I despise what else is there? Skyscraper was bad.
Well, that's actually getting a rework soon, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, so the reworks are going to be good.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident with the Oregon rework. I would love to see that come to comp at some point. I know Oregon was pretty well loved even before it was removed from the pool. I kind of miss, and this is probably going to be a bit controversial, but I kind of miss Fortress in the ranked pool. Ooh. I don't know that there would. You don't agree there?
That is controversial.
I know. I was playing some casual the other day, ended up on Fortress, and I was like, yeah, this actually there's a bit more structure to this map than a lot of the other kind of quick match kind of maps. So that's one I've always. I didn't always enjoy, but I definitely like that one.
I feel like that's probably one of the reasons that it was so hated was because of how much effort you actually have to put in attacking it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty common amongst non-PL maps. The ones that I hated the most, the ones that aren't easy to attack on.
Yeah. Oh.
Right.
I feel like I personally really liked Favela, and I don't know whether that's because I was really grinding the game a lot when that map came out, and for some reason I just always liked it. And when they reintroduced it to casual, I was super excited.
I actually started playing. My first week playing Rainbow Six was the first week of Skull Rain, which was the season with that map coming out. It was back when Cav and Capital, you couldn't play them unless if you had the season pass. It was still in that kind of week. So it was literally the week of Skull Rain launch. And so I remember playing a lot of Favela. I don't know whether they the percentage of how much you would find that map was kind of increased during the first week. But it felt like I played that map a lot. And being new to the game, the first thing that really gets you killed is spawn picks. Hey, we're playing against Picnic.
Yeah, I was going to point that out.
Oh, hey, Picnic. All right, yeah, no, I've got a lot of people not pretty happy with me saying that I miss Fortress.
Yeah, I think that's definitely not a popular map at all.
Blue Panda, he's a caster. He's been doing a great job casting AEC, and also jumped on the qualifiers for the SM Six Masters. He's asked, what underwear do people wear when they cast? Oh wait, no, wait. It
that was Mr. Baker.
Sorry, Baker said that first, and then Blue Panda said remarked upon it. So look, I'm a simple man. I wear simple underwear. Same for when I'm casting, when I'm not casting. You know, I just try to evoke excellence every single day.
Nice. I mean, I alluded to not wearing pants, and there's a reason I didn't talk about my underwear, so I might keep it that way.
All right, mate. You better clean up for the studio, though.
What do you mean? I thought you said you liked it.
Look, what happens in Sydney stays in Sydney, all right? Where are they?
Oh, actually.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I found a warden in Master. He's holding a weird angle to like lobby door.
I feel like it's like a meeting or something.
I got auto to Finca. Yeah, you're probably right, actually.
It could be meeting kitchen, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
a
meeting.
stranger site for sure.
Yeah, it's meeting.
Yeah, it is meeting.
Sure. That warden is the dude who spawned Pig Vinny before, so do be careful of that dude.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna
So
get
he's the god on the server.
He doesn't get away with that.
And actually, it's the only kill he's got. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
He's not getting away with that. Where is he?
Oh, I messed up my nade.
Sorry. Oh my god, I just had a fright.
Oh, I got domed for meeting.
That's pick. No, okay, maybe it wasn't. Was that Valkyrie or Warden? Okay, yeah, right.
Valk.
Sorry, I got confused because recycle weapons confuses me.
Vinny going off the G8.
Yes. This operator makes me look a lot better than I actually am. I think that's the key.
So pick me from left side.
Oh.
One kitchen.
My hole's gonna get me kills. Yeah.
Oh,
you traded. You traded. Was that Doc? Oh no, it's not Doc.
That was Rock.
That was Jaeger.
Oh, that was Oh my god, I'm blind.
Also, just for everybody in chat, the Devmarta screech is very similar to Devmarta, so this is what it's like playing with him.
This is just the standard Devmarta.
I was actually half volume.
Hopefully mine. Whoa! Hello! There we go. I'll take that one.
Oh, this is a great question in chat as well. At what point did we decide to go from quick match to ranked when we started playing Siege? I personally can vouch for the mistake of jumping as straight into ranked as quick as possible. I was really bad at the game when I decided to play ranked. I'm pretty sure I played it right at level 30, and it will forever haunt the stats on my main account. That's how bad it was. So, I mean, it's a great way to learn, but if you care about stats, I would definitely say just learn the game a bit more before you really dive into it.
My solution to that problem is don't care about stats.
Yes, I agree with that too.
Yeah. My ranked stats have never been too flattering. So
probably still better than mine and Ravens, to be honest. Let's do the stats shaming.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Ranked 2.0 win loss and 1.2 kill death, Vinny. You have nothing to complain about.
2.0 it went down. Oh no. Oh, guys.
Terrible.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, Raven. I won't talk about yours.
Yeah, no, it's best not to bring it up, eh?
Guys, just saying, he played a lot of ranked when he was very new, so don't blame him.
It's that's what I was talking about with the trap though. Like my KD was always really bad when I played early ranks. Like I remember it. I used to go like 3 and 5, 3 and 6, that kind of thing. Heaps of games. And it's a big trap.
I feel like I've played a lot of ranked games where all bottom frag go negative, which is obviously like worsening my KD. But I feel like I'm maybe not the MVP of the game, but I've really helped You know, whether you're playing Thermite and you drone in your 2 entry fraggers who get kills, and then you open the 2 main walls on the bomb site and then you plant the bomb, or you're shot calling for your team. Like, I feel like so often you can not really show up on the scoreboard but have a huge impact, and that's just one of the reasons why I think kind of the whole stats shaming thing is pretty silly.
Yeah. Especially like in my team right now, you guys probably know that Milo's playing a lot of like Thermite kind of hard breach, which means that, you know, he's a great fragger, but he's not really able to get those opportunities as often. But you know,
yeah,
that never phases him. He's always just doing the team thing, which is great.
I thought that was such a good question though, the one that you brought up before, Raven, which was when did you jump into ranked? Vinny, I don't think we heard when you jumped into ranked from Quick Match.
So
I'll let you kill this elephant first.
My goodness. Yeah. I think it was pretty much straight away. Like I said, I kind of jumped in off a friend. Which meant that you know, he'd been playing the game for a little while, so he was kind of just like, yeah, just come in, it'll be fun, just let's hang out. And yeah, I'd get slaughtered. I already had like a bit of the mechanical skill just because I played a lot of CSGO, but yeah, like everybody just kind of outplayed me and outgunned me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the stats weren't great, but it was definitely like the best learning experience, I think, for me straight away. I don't think casual is like a great representation of the way that you know, Siege is kind of played. And then like as you progressively get better and you play more comp, you realize that ranked is kind of the same deal. But yeah, I think if you go into like ranked games and you're not worried about your KD or your win-loss and you're focused more on your strengths and weaknesses, then you're never really losing, as cliche as that is to say.
Wow, I love that. That's so profound. You guys want to jam a few more games? I'm feeling like we could keep going.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
all right.
Let's do it.
What I might do is jump us on the face cam screen while we're queuing.
Yeah.
So, you know, put your pants back on, Raven. Do whatever you need.
So we're not getting Q sniped or something, you know?
No,
like that.
no. Actually, just to kind of show our beautiful faces. I figured that'd be nice. Let's face cams. There we go. For me, jumping into ranked, I think that really marked like the turn for me playing Siege was when I played a lot of casual. Like I started the game and I was studying at the time, and I really didn't want to be studying, so it was like my escape, kind of learning Rainbow Six. I wanted to learn a new game, and like I hadn't played a lot of kind of realistic themed military shooters. I played a lot of, you know, sci-fi stuff. So I saw Siege and I was like, this looks cool. And then I realized it was like really brain heavy, a really brain heavy game, which really appealed to me because my mechanics are not my strength at all. So, and yeah, like playing casual, obviously you don't get as much of that. So I think I played casual for a really long time. Like I found a Discord server with some mates I would just jam quick match in. And like ranked was kind of a taboo word for us. Like we would never play ranked. And then after a while, I think like one or two of them like started playing and they were like, you know, grinding for plat or gold or something. And then I got really into it and I just started like playing with them a couple times, like, you know, got introduced to it. And then like they weren't always online, so I just solo queued. And I remember my very first season, Skull Rain. This all happened in the period of 3 months during that season, like my transition from casual into ranked. And I started, and I got placed in copper. I can't remember what it was, but it was definitely copper something. And I was like, I mean, I didn't know how good that was. I didn't know how bad that was. And I just kept grinding, and I was like, got to bronze, and I was like, hell yeah, ranked up. I got to silver, and I was like, yes. And on like the last week, I managed to hit gold 1, which was the lowest gold at the time. Nice. And I was just so proud of myself.
Yeah,
that's
did you
awesome.
like that?
I think my first season was Operation Health, and that's like, I think that still is the most ranked games I've played in a season. I played something like 400 ranked games.
Jeez.
That was like my initial transition over from CS, and I think I was in year 10. And that, yeah, very much the same idea. It was just kind of like that escape from school and stuff, and yeah, it was like a good release. Learning something new as well as like
Need to use your drone to locate a bomb.
practicing how to destroy kids. Made me feel better about myself.
Drone has found a bomb.
Look, that was such a good question that it took us ages to kind of get through. But I'm gonna have a bit of a scroll up because I'm pretty sure there were some other good ones.
Yeah, there are some great ones in chat.
People talking about my underwear. Let's just leave that one. Blue Panda said, Vinny, if you could work with any org for 1 week, what would it be? So do you have kind of any orgs that you particularly you like? I mean, I know obviously Sinister.
Insert
Yeah.
10 seconds.
I'd work with Sinister for a lifetime, but if I had a week with any org, I think DZ's setup is really awesome, and I think you'd have to like go and experience it to like understand how like useful it would actually be. So if I had a week in like the DZ house, either as a player or a coach, just like being able to see the way they operate and stuff, I think that'd be really cool.
I was lucky that I got to meet Zach from Duck Zero.
Yeah.
And he is just one of the most sincere human beings I've met in esports. So, and he runs a really tight ship as well. So,
Yeah.
I can totally echo that. Got someone asking me, do you use map blueprints whenever you talk about possible strats or maps, or do you just watch Coconut Bra videos? I actually have started watching Coconut Bra videos because I hate it when I die and I'm like, what is that? And so watching Coconut Bra. Oh, okay.
Oh my
Jeez.
He just destroyed you guys. It's alright, Jason.
I missed
got you back.
I missed my quick scope.
Jason's got you, bro. There you go. Yeah, I actually have been watching Coconut Bra videos. He's also an awesome dude. He's done some really cool stuff for the community, and
The diffuser has been secured.
yeah, I mean, I'm not a spawn peeker really, and but I like to know where the spawn peaks are so I can shoot people who try and do them.
1 on 4 remaining.
Yeah, he works pretty closely with Nico as well. They,
Yeah.
They're always messaging each other with cool new angles and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, there's some great videos with Nico kind of
One
guest
friendly
appearances in,
operator
if you will.
Yeah.
I believe in this, Maru. What else we got?
Ooh,
Uh-oh.
interesting ADS placement.
So here's a bit of a general one, but we got from Blue Panda.
Uh-oh.
What advice would you have, Vinny, for someone trying to become a pro player?
So I think it has become harder now than it ever has been to kind of get your way into the competitive scene. In terms of, you know, when I was coming up, it was very much more about who you knew rather than working your way into teams. But I think right now it's like more opportunities than ever in terms of getting a team together, and stuff like Six Masters and stuff like Go Fours are really helpful. So just finding a team that you're comfortable playing with and you think you can have success with, and then yeah, just grinding it out. Not like overcomplicating the way that you work as a team, but making sure that you're focusing more on teamwork and coordination rather than your own mechanical skill. I think you achieve a lot more if you become a more well-rounded player, rather than just somebody that can run around and shoot people in ranked.
We need to locate a bomb.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I feel like a lot of people, kind of what we were talking about before, they focus on the scoreboard, but you could have a player who brings so much to the team and then never gets represented on the scoreboard because the guy who's running around tapping everyone's heads is getting call-outs perfectly from their teammate who's sitting on the donut. So, yeah, definitely maybe focusing on what you're bringing to the team rather than what you're bringing to your own ego.
Yeah, exactly right. That's very applicable.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, I'd echo that in terms of just getting stuck into it
5
and
seconds
not
before insertion.
being too. I mean, like, you got to focus on improving, but not being too focused on the improving where it gets frustrating or like disheartening. You've got to be okay making mistakes. and working on yourself as a teammate. It's like something I said before, like it's one thing to be really good at the game, but if you're a really bad teammate, then like you're not going to be on a team for very long to be able to use your skills, right? Yeah, so I definitely echo that point.
I just want to say again, thanks for your questions, everyone. I know we're getting through them really slowly, but it's tough because I keep getting destroyed by I Am Mr. Plastic.
What side are they, by the way? I actually have no idea.
It's Penthouse. But beware the vigil beware the vigil who is prone in blue bar.
You have located a bomb.
Copy that. Oh, there's on the bottom right as well.
Alright, I'm just gonna, since you guys are playing, I'm gonna answer a couple.
Go for it.
So we got, how do you feel about Fnatic beating both Empire and G2 in the Invitational? How do you feel it's overall affected APAC? That's a tough one. I think that one of the biggest things that's happened with APAC, one of the biggest ways APAC's been affected by the success of teams, especially Fnatic, is the respect that we're getting from other regions. And I think that APAC is really seen at the moment as level with a lot of the other regions. I know a lot of people hype EU and NA.
Oh no.
That was a feels bad, man. I was watching that.
That was a feels bad.
But I feel like we've definitely got a lot of respect, and hopefully that'll continue as we continue to put an impact at big events as well. I feel like globally we're definitely at a point in Rainbow Six where it's a lot less top heavy. You know, we don't just have G2 winning every game. You know, Team Liquid and G2 and Empire get knocked out in groups so often, and it's not like Space Station is just winning everything either. You know, NIP, SSG, TSM, some of these top teams from SI are still getting really well challenged from other teams in the region, and even like in our local region as well. You know, you guys nearly beat Wildcard this week. Elevate dropped a map to LFO, who's just come up through an open qualifier. I think it's behind that bookshelf. Oh, bad idea.
Eliminated all friendlies.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot more well-rounded now.
Yeah, it's and it's come a lot from like just literally just the effort that's being put in from the rest of the teams. I think, you know, it was very much those teams that were on top recently or in the past have been, you know, the teams that have genuinely put in effort to get to that point, and everybody's kind of playing catch up. But it's I think people are definitely catching up now, and I don't want to say that top teams are getting complacent, but you know,
I know that whenever I've talked to reps from those teams, whenever I use that word, they really don't like it.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like if you're working hard, there's always somebody else working harder than you are. So you can never stop.
And kind of on that, right? We got a question way back from Sky, which is when you're going into a matchup versus a more accomplished team, you focus on mental or strategic side. You know, what's more important? So this kind of, I guess, echoes it with like, let's say you guys going against Wildcard and some of the other teams you guys have faced and done really well against recently. You know, what do you think about that?
So it's very much a balance. You're always studying your opponents and making sure you understand the way that they play. But at the same time, you need to make sure that whatever you're doing is sound and is the most effective way for your own team to play. So in terms of the question, you're strategically looking to find ways to counter what they've done, but you know, Siege is a very complex game, and there's so many variables that you can't just pin it down to one or two things that make a team win.
Your location has been compromised.
And then you're just constantly, you're always focusing on your own mental like kind of game, regardless of who you're playing against. So it's very much a balance. Coming into a team like Wildcard or Fnatic, you know, they're teams that can adapt and come up with solutions on the fly. So strategically, it's hard to pin them down, but you know, if your mental game's strong and your own team's game is strong, then you can come up against any team. Siege is very good like that.
I know some people often talk about like it's hard to get into the game, but we see these big teams like TSM like come out of nowhere, and like there's a lot of names on a team like TSM, even like SSG, who, you know, these guys aren't necessarily the OGs, and you can kind of come in and make an impact.
Yeah, definitely. and it's just about getting your name out there early on. So like Bolo obviously has been around for a long time, but not as a comp player, and I think a lot of people doubted that he could make an impact in the comp scene, and he definitely proved those people wrong. You know, like Fultz from SSG is still a super young player, but he's already super well accomplished, and yeah, it's really good to see.
I think I'm getting pushed on site.
Copy.
Okay.
I'm very low HP. But she'll be right. I can see for the plant spot.
Oh, there's nobody VIP. Or balcony, at least.
Yeah, I think there... Oh, no, there's one in bathroom, I think. I'm prepping C4. Oh, in bed plant spot. In the bed plant spot. Can you wallbang that, Raven?
Oh, yep.
One in music as well.
Yeah, Carly, out in front of the bed, kind of. And there's like, the other one's in master as well.
Yep.
I'm not safe,
I've never seen you lose these.
Oh, close on my door. I think it's a claymore. Oh, no, they're planning. Maybe you pre-fire the wall?
One friendly remaining. Bomb diffuser in place.
Left side.
Right,
Carly was the... Oh, yeah.
Operator standing.
That fireball,
Claymore
bro.
there. Care the claymore? You might
Yeah.
better shoot it through the wall. I don't think he jumped out. Oh! You downed it?
Yeah.
Yes!
Points off, but yeah, pretty sure.
Nice, dude. Oh, come on, mate.
I just gonna test the button. I hadn't crouched yet. I was gonna ask a question, but I've actually forgotten what it is now. My train of thought got very much cut.
We have no shortage of questions right now. There's so many. People are asking, what's your stream, Vinny? We can talk about that later tonight as well, but what's your Twitch link? People can go follow you now.
I'm pretty sure it's just Vincere R6.
Yeah.
No space.
What have you had to eat tonight? His mum usually cooks up something nice.
Yes. You are correct. She made souvlaki's tonight, and I was well fed.
Oh,
So,
Go off, mate.
another great night of cooking.
oiled.
Here's a good one, I guess.
But it's all good.
Here's a good one, I guess, for both you and me. Has Vinny got any thoughts on how Fortress Melbourne might affect ANZ Esports in the future?
So I never got a chance to see it before, obviously, all this COVID stuff happened. But from what I've heard, like, it's an unbelievable venue. And, you know, like, nothing negative can ever come from something like this. The more places that we have that can, you know, allow us to do these events, will always be positive for the scene. And from what I've seen so far, yeah, it looks unbelievable. And I'm really excited for events that are going to be there. Hopefully soonish, if
Hopefully the situation improves. I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I know I was lucky I got to go there for the Void Edge launch party, which was pretty fun. And one thing that I think is super underrated and under talked about Fortress is the potential for teams to use it as a boot camping space.
Yeah.
And I really hope that happens.
You have entered an enemy controlled area. Leave now.
I'm gonna see if I can do this same camera that already didn't work.
If you remain in this zone, you will
They shot it last round. Let's see if they'll shoot it this round. Oh, I landed on the wrong side of the tree.
Rip. It kind of clips through the leaf though.
I think it kind of works. I have a feeling I'm about to get shot from the roof.
One call you.
Fuck his luggage? His luggage.
Yeah.
He's
luggage,
top
okay.
white, top white. I'm dead. It's Mr. Plastic!
Know him?
No,
Friend of yours?
No, he's the guy who killed me in like every other round. I'm 0-4.
Is this a luggage?
On the roof.
Oh, feels bad, man.
Yeah.
He was last seen top white. We got a hi from Germany. Hello from Australia. The stream isn't running well. Let me know what the problem is and I'll do my best to fix it. Do you guys have the dev skin? No. We are not developers.
But you are dev.
I am dev, but I'm not a dev.
I love that joke.
Never gets old. Most memorable moments in Rainbow Six. That's a good question.
Oh wow, I got rolled.
All friendlies were eliminated.
I think that the most memorable moments in Rainbow Six is one that really changes depending on the person, and they're often going to be really personal experiences. For me, I think one of the most memorable moments for me and one of the most heartfelt moments for me was Six Invitational 2019 opening ceremony with the orchestra. I just, like, before Siege, music was my main thing, and I've always loved orchestras, and just seeing the orchestra live at that event, it was just really moving for me.
Yeah, what my most memorable moment would be, I feel like it was probably the best match I had as a player. I think that's still probably my favorite moment, and like it's not even that. I guess it doesn't sound like it'd be that special, but it felt pretty good, and it was against Fnatic at the time, so that made it feel better.
Yeah. Most memorable moment, Vinny?
It was probably the clutch against Sinister, actually.
The 1v3 with the pistol?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was pretty nuts. It was
kind of like it was because it was the first match of the season, and like I don't know, it kind of just like set us up. I think because like it was very silent. I think I don't know if it was a mixture of like we've definitely lost the round and like we should probably let him focus, but it was like I don't know. It's probably the most memorable clutch, I think, more than anything. In terms of moments, playing on the MEO stage was really good.
Yeah.
And, even UBXB in Sydney, when I got to meet who are now my teammates, I got fairly close with the Sinister people at that event, and I think that's probably it.
Yeah, MEO was a big one for me as well. MEO was the first event that I'd really had more of a hand in kind of the formation of it, working with Ubisoft and really helping to kind of plan and execute that event. It was really, really fun, and it's pretty cool when you work on something for months and you finally see it all working. And not everything always works as you expect, but it's still pretty amazing. And it was a big moment for Australian esports, flying out Matt Andrews, huge global personality and the voice of Rainbow Six, to be there.
Yeah.
It was also the first time my parents came to an event, and
Okay.
it was actually so funny. The ESL project manager he got my parents onto the stage after the event was closed up and took a photo, and my mum was like so chuffed. It was it was hilarious.
That's cute.
Yeah. I also had one of my real life mates from high school. He actually works the event as a photographer, as a cameraman, because he works on the footy and based in Melbourne. So I connected him with some ESL people, and he got that gig, which was super awesome. Him doing what he's good at, which is doing camera, and me doing what I do, casting. It was pretty cool to kind of see that come together.
Mm.
And boys, we're on my favorite map.
Yeah, how do we attack this? Can you tell me?
No.
Oh,
Why are you meant to be the pro player?
We haven't.
Actually, the Fortress expert.
Yeah, we haven't done stuff in Fortress yet.
Can we get some Fortress analysts from the chat? Please tell us how to attack. Oh, C4. There you go. I heard that and I was like, where is that? Oh no!
My death.
I'm sorry, bro. I'll hit him with the well played.
The diffuser has been secured.
Hi. Let's feel it. Head.
How do you think hosting a major or a minor in Sydney would affect the overall popularity of Siege in Australia? Oh, nice one, dude. That's a tough question.
Just heard the sound and freaked out.
Not sure what to say.
Oh.
I mean, only good things, right? I think any exposure to an offline event
Friendly
be
last
good for
operator
Siege.
standing.
Got some
what
Melbourne
was the question?
supporters in chat as well.
4 eliminated all friendlies.
Major and minor in Sydney. Yeah, I mean, if we had a major and minor in general, that'd be nuts.
I was actually really excited to go to MEO to watch the IEM Melbourne.
Oh yeah,
The
nice.
CS. That would have been awesome, but unfortunately, at this stage, I'm pretty sure it's still cancelled.
I don't think there's ever been an official word on that.
I'm not sure. Don't consider us the experts. Go and
No.
go and look elsewhere to get confirmation on that one. I think the real problem, boys, was that I was playing Ashe, and we all know that casters can't frag.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you do have the one kill. My bad. We had a Fuse question, so I'm going to jump on the Fuse. Do you think Fuse could be used against the utility denial meta of today effectively? That's a tough one.
I agree.
Oh.
No, I thought this.
All
Especially
right.
like the Goyo shield, or like just the shield predicament in general. Like, you could use a fuse charge to clear things like ADSs, magnets, and then a fuse charge to clear the shields. And then like, that can be a pretty massive solution to a big problem, right?
Yeah.
It's just risky using his cluster charges. That's the downside to fuse.
Yeah, I think one of the things with Fuse is the versatility is somewhat restricted in where you can place his charges. And a lot of people, the go-to thing is windows or floors, and
10 seconds.
windows are not really plausible. Like you're saying, you're probably just going to get shot through them while you're placing the charge.
5 seconds.
And floors, yeah, it's possible there are risks involved, and you see floors and stuff, but there's not all, not every bomb site has floors that are worth fusing. So it becomes a question of, is it really worth bringing this operator if we don't know he's going to be useful? I think that's something that hurts his pick rate a bit.
Yeah. He's also really slow.
Yeah, that too. He does have a good gun though. I don't think you could like give him any other gun, and like it wouldn't matter what gun you give him, people would still like pick him the same, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh-oh. Senior Monday. Is it Senior Monday? No, it's Senior Monday. Alright. Sitting on that default cam. I want to go into dorms and fuse the floor.
Go it.
I just don't want to die to this Ella who's probably up here somewhere. There you go. Was that the Ella? No, it was a Jaeger. I should have asked Monte. He was right side of the room, Monty.
Well, I have the site, guys.
So you're on site, right?
Oh. Alright, nice one. Oh, Jaeger was upstairs.
The diffuser is no
And we
longer
just
in
lost
your
Kit.
possession.
That's a F in chat. Maybe grab the diffuser and go back to site. Maverick. Oh, laundry. Laundry. They do have diffuser upstairs.
Oh, sup, bro?
One laundry, one medical, or what do you call that? Hospital?
Oh my god, goo mines. Next to me.
Hospital, right side, hospital.
Yeah, dude.
I've got to pull my goo.
Scan spotting me?
Rip. Tags, right side. Oh, so many goos, bro.
Can I kick? Vote to kick. Clutch or kick?
Wait, he's down now. Oh, that's not bad.
I actually don't know where the one might went.
The diffuser is now secured.
Don't worry, dude. We're not all watching you right now and expecting you to win this. Oh,
Oh,
no,
he traded.
Fired.
Bad luck.
Oh, and we lost because we were attacking. Wow, tough one. No, that's not worth the kick.
I mean...
I actually almost never listen to music while playing Siege, but this playlist you linked me, Raven, it's doing it for me.
Pretty great playlist. I do like it. Did we plug it? I don't know. Can we plug it?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not necessarily plugging it, but I can tell you the music we are listening to is the Harris Heller playlist. What's it called again?
Stream beats.
Stream Beats. There you go. Would recommend, especially if you stream. It's very chill.
Secure the bombs.
Hammam. Does anyone know what a hammam is?
Location has been compromised.
I think it's the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a special, what's this map? Morocco? Is this Morocco?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
because
like
nomad-
Moroccan
nomadic
baths.
native.
And bath.
This Fortress is meant to be a fortress, you know, of Cade's fortress. Cade? I'm gonna get crucified for saying it the wrong way.
10 seconds remain.
Kaid is one of the names that I've one of the operators I just never have said correctly. I've always said Cade. I also have a problem where I keep pressing tab. I really need to stop doing that.
Be ready for hostile action.
I have
Scoreboard watcher, huh?
Scoreboard anxiety. I also keep trying to put 3 Vulcan shields down and then remembering that I only have 2 now.
I was a freaking blitz on me. Oh my gosh.
Wait,
On my way.
I'm coming.
Window.
Oh, you jump in? I'm definitely arcing him if he jumps in.
Sounds like a Zephyr right there too.
Being spotted from a drone.
Oh, yeah, I reckon I can pick him.
Do it to him. I have C4 ready.
Trying to smoke it.
Well, they're trying to smoke it. Why are they doing that?
Yeah, this window.
Nice, dude.
That was the
I think he jumped in.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Oh! I almost killed you like twice there.
Yeah, that was scary. Not gonna lie. I ended up hip firing him as well.
I'm not. Did I actually? I think I've got a
Thank
kill
you.
assist. I don't know whether I injured him.
Thanks,
Thanks,
buddy.
Nice team.
Nice, scary.
Just how we practice.
Yeah, good guy. Good job, guys. we did our dry runs. I'm getting drone on. Oh, hello! I'm sorry!
Oh my.
I exploded
Where?
because I was getting shot. Oh, there's
in,
someone.
like the room next to. They're both in there. They're both in there.
Oh, it's reinforced.
For the boys.
Oh. He blended in with the screen thing.
He
I don't know
did
what to
for
call it,
me as well.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh my god. The power of IQ. I traded.
I want to see this kill.
Oh.
Oh no.
Mission failure.
Well played to the IQ.
Yeah, I mean that shows the power. Hey.
Yeah,
What
that
about?
thus concludes our IQ tutorial. Step 1, pick IQ. I don't think we picked IQ when we were attacking. Maybe that was the problem all along.
Yeah. I mean, he's using the AUG. I don't know. We all died to the worst gun.
I died to the pistol actually,
Okay.
and he did run the suppressor, so he's not listening to any of your tips.
No.
All right, 3 games. I reckon it's getting pretty late. Might toss to our outro. Are you guys all cool?
Sure.
do that?
Done.
Yeah, that's,
Alright.
that's fine.
You
I
mate,
think
done
my
your hair?
cam is really bugged right now. Hang on a sec.
Okay, I'll have a look at it before we switch over. It is. It says no source selected.
Yeah, but then the cam is actually selected. Hang on, it's gonna
Yeah. No worries, man.
reopen my camera software.
I'll just go in and open an alpha pack or something. Friday, hey?
Yeah. This is okay, it's still really bugged.
Oh,
Oh, no,
hey, other boys. All right, I'm gonna flip over now. All right, we get to see our beautiful faces again. So this is kind of the part of the show that we've kind of dedicated to just a bit of recap of the night and all that kind of jazz. So I know we've kind of memed it a bit before about the IQ, but let's maybe go briefly over kind of the stuff we talked about tonight. So. If you're just joining us, Vinny, pro player for Sinister, you took us through. Firstly, it was Clubhouse. Is there any like main thing that you want to keep in mind, or maybe what's like the main thing that people might want to know about Clubhouse that we talked about tonight?
I'd say just like break down the map into like really simple steps. So in terms of like the 2 top floor sites, you want to be taking like across the top floor. So maybe starting at one side where they're not defending and working their way across, and similarly for bottom floor, you want to take like the map control that's free, and then kind of work your way down. Yeah, and then defending, just do the really simple stuff. Make sure you get the right Rios. If they want to know what the Rios are, I'm guessing they can go back into the VOD, and I kind of talked about what Rios. So
yeah, nice. And for IQ, we talked about the loadout and different use cases. What's the most important stuff to remember there?
Yeah, so like when you're playing IQ, your primary objective is to find the other team's info and really deny their ability to know where your team is. And once you've done stuff like that, you wanna be finding like a secondary objective. So you're looking for pulse, looking for vigil, maybe finding out how many ADSs are on a certain part of the site, or capcan traps, lesion mines, all that good stuff. And then once you've done that, you're free to frag. So go get some kills.
It's the important part, right? Is actually use your utility, so then you are actually free to frag
that's
instead of dying first and being like, oh, I should have brought my scanner out. Hey,
and there's that solo queue IQ player in all of my rank games who just gets to that step and doesn't use the utility. Just like, I'm just here for the G8 and the commando. Yeah, and we talked about some of the counters as well. We talked about Pulse and Vigil. We had those awesome clips. Feel free to go back and watch those if you missed them. Yeah, that pretty much wraps up that. And yeah, I guess that's our coverage of what we did tonight. This week coming up, we've got Six Masters week 2, and we also have Late Night Siege on Friday. You've got a game coming up this week. You know, tell us about who you're going to be playing, and I guess what you're kind of thinking about and expectations going in.
So we're playing against Pittsburgh Knights next week. And we're really excited for the match. We're excited to see the way that Pittsburgh come out. We know that Stig's just left for Fnatic, so we know they're probably going to be more aggressive. When you bring a new player in, you're usually not, focusing too heavy strat-wise. But I'm sure whoever they're bringing in will be a great fit. But the same prep as any other game, and we're really excited to continue our comp run. We were pretty disappointed with the way that we finished against Wildcard, so we're hoping to snag those points.
Nice.
Yep. Awesome.
I guess one thing really important, we kind of already talked about it a little bit, but maybe you just want to recap as well for everyone watching. They want to keep up to date with you and the stuff that you're doing. Obviously, people are aware of your streams and anything else that you're doing outside of the game. Where can they keep up with you? Where should they go?
Yeah, so the streams will be on Vincere R6 on Twitch. I'm not streaming to YouTube, but I was considering it, but I probably won't for now. On Twitter, it's Vincere_R6. I'm actually finishing up a giveaway tonight. So I'm giving away a Go For Charm and 3,600 credits with Nico. So if you want to get in probably now, because we'll probably be rolling it very soon. And what else? For YouTube, I don't have my own YouTube, but our montages are uploaded to the Sinister R6 channel, so go look over there for those. And I think that's it. I think that's all the plugs.
I think for Team Sinister as well, I'm pretty sure, Dev, we have that in the ticker, right? If you guys want to go follow Team Sinister, which is Finny's org.
Yeah.
So go support them.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Really supportive org of an ANZ team, which is always really nice to see.
Yeah. Priest is another absolute legend in the ANZ scene, in the Rainbow Six scene globally, and also supporting ANZ. We're also going to chuck a Year 5 Pass and a Six Masters t-shirt your way as a thank you for coming along. So I'll DM you later about that.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
Yeah, no worries, man. And yeah, that's pretty much all for the show tonight. Anyone who's been sticking with us for the full 2.5 hours, whatever it is, thank you guys. We appreciate your support, and we hope that you've enjoyed the show. And if you guys have any feedback, if there are things that you really liked that we did, if there were things that you thought went too long, whatever, we're keen to hear about it. So feel free to message me on Twitter or whatever, because I'd love to hear that kind of stuff. Anything else you want to say or touch on, Raven? Have I missed anything?
No, pretty much just in the same vein. Like we said at the start, this is meant to be a pretty chill vibe show. We just want to have cool guests on that we can talk to about tips to help people feel more comfortable with the game, play the game, and just learn more about Siege in general in lots of different aspects, not just maps and operators, but what's happening and the different personalities. So I think a lot of people have probably gotten a great insight into Vinny as a player tonight. So now when you guys watch him play, you can put a better face and personality behind that. And yeah, if you do have feedback, we want to take it all on, new show. So feel free to reach out.
Yeah, and I guess on that, let us know who you want to see next week or in future weeks. We will be reaching out to people directly. But if you want to see like a specific pro player or whatever, or someone that's not a pro player, if you have a content creator or someone else that you'd like to see on this show, we'd love to hear that as well. So yeah, that's all from us for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Make sure to tune in to Six Masters on Tuesday and Wednesday this week from 7 p.m. Sydney and Melbourne time, AEST. And then on Friday next week, we'll have Late Night Siege again from 8 p.m. You can find all that info on the Rainbow Six ANZ socials on whatever platform is your favorite. But that's all from us for tonight, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Cool. See you guys.